Welcome to Talking Halos. It's Derek Ciapola with my co-host, my partners in crime, the illustrious Negative Nancy Nate Green and Jared Timms. We're back. It's been a little bit. It's been a hot minute, at least for me. These guys keep doing what they do, but we got a little bit of news for you guys. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. You hyping me up, Nate. Come on, don't be negative this year.
This is my favorite time of the year. Are you
No,
kidding me?
no talking bad. No talking bad about Levon Soto. No talking bad
Hope
about.
He
might
had
be a
this
thing.
smile
Come
on
on,
his
man.
face. Well, you
Hope
talking about
might
hope?
be a thing.
Then maybe you didn't see Sam Blum's comments today.
No, I did.
Oh, you did?
Of course.
I'm not sure I agree.
Of course. There's got to be hope. This is the only time for hope because the way the Angels have been playing the last 6 years, it's hope goes out the window after opening day. So
6 years or 7. I don't know. I've lost count. It's been like a hot minute, like you said.
This is the hope time. So we can kind of be excited and hope for things. And if some things come to fruition, then maybe the Angels might break that curse of the playoffs.
I mean, let's be real though. What's the reality? The true hope for you is they sell a team. I mean, is that where you're really at?
I mean, I think that's like 95% of everyone's hope right now is they sell that Artie sells the team.
But when next offseason? I mean, let's get it going here. If you're gonna sell them. Come on.
The
want this
report
new
is
owner
that
in there.
It's done before opening day is the hope. We'll see how that happens.
And remember what we talked about before in a fantasy world where everything is unicorns and popcorn, that team is sold like before winter meetings, right? That's what we'd all be hoping for.
By the end of this month, and that's going to be tough.
I mean, have you guys even heard a sniff about a prospective owner in the last 2 weeks?
The one good thing that you bring up with asking, have we heard anything? Artie never lets anything get out. He does not let anyone know any of his business. And that's why we didn't know about Albert Pujols till the last minute. That's why we don't know about most of these things until the last minute. That's why they're always the mystery team. So the fact that we're not hearing anything is not a bad sign for me. It's just, you just don't know.
I don't know. I would think something would leak about a multi-billion-dollar sale of a franchise. I mean, you would think that, but
you would think that
it would leak
the
Angels.
That Albert Pujols, the greatest player of the generation at that time, was signing with the Angels, or was even a possibility.
Well, sure, even when Vladdy signed years ago,
so
no one saw that coming.
To their chest very closely, and so I'm not worried, but I'm not, excited about about how long this could take.
Meanwhile, Dark Lord of the Sith over there, Jared Timms, what do you have in all this?
This is Artie's last damning wish against this organization. Is that fair to say? Like this is the last.
Yeah, I thought you were the negative guy,
and I'm the negative guy.
No. I mean,
his last damning wish.
No, I mean,
says the Sith Lord.
Just think about it though. Like this offseason is a very, very, very important offseason for a lot of things, Angels wise, right? I mean, there's a whole sale of the team going on. Oh, and there's Shohei Ohtani, who we're going to talk about here shortly. This offseason so crazy important, and it's the worst offseason for something like this to happen. You almost need, as bad as this sounds, like you need the Angels not to be sold this offseason because of everything. It's just this is the worst possible offseason that you could sell the organization.
I think you might be getting your wish, honestly. It doesn't seem like he's in a hurry. Like he's going to sell the team when he feels like it, but I don't see him being in this rush. Are you guys getting that feeling one way or the other?
Quieter the better. I mean, that's always how I felt about Artie's. Anything Artie does off season, I'll mention it with Perry last year, and I know Perry and Artie are completely different things. Perry's coming from Atlanta. Atlanta gets on the ball really quickly with stuff during the off season. I expect him to do that again this off season. With Artie, it's always been a really quiet hush hush. Billy was kind of that same way. It was the same way with Jerry. I mean, you guys mentioned Albert Pujols. The Mike Trout contract extension came out of nowhere. Even this selling of the organization kind of came out of nowhere too, right, guys? I mean, it was just all of a sudden one day, whoa! This morning, the Angels, Artie Moreno is talking about selling the team. So yeah, I think Nate brings up a good point. I think it's a good thing. that we haven't heard anything. If we had been hearing stuff, I'd be a little bit worried. But yeah, the fact that we haven't heard anything, that doesn't worry me at all. The one thing that does worry me is that I can't even. Rob Manfred came out earlier this offseason and said, yeah, they should be sold by opening day. That's what worries me. Like, whew, if it gets done by opening day, that's not good. You need it done by New Year if you expect the Angels to do anything this offseason. Crazy.
And he's probably involved in the conversation, but let's be honest, no one really thinks Rob Manfred's all that competent anyway. So I just want to point it out. But I'm by the way, just to give Jared credit, he sent me a list of things to talk about. I'm just not talking about them yet. And I might not. So that will be maybe for Thursday's episode, because today, I just mentioned earlier, Sam Blum, the Angels writer for The Athletic, also points out that, he states pretty much like a fact. If I can find the tweet here in all this, I will quote it all the way. But he pretty much states it as a fact that the Rams, not the Rams, just the Rams podcast.
Wrong podcast.
The Angels, another problem team, are going to drop payroll. And I'm wondering, given the fact that the Angels do want to look appealing for an incoming owner, if that's just Sam's opinion, maybe we can get Sam on the show and ask him, or if he's hearing it from somewhere, because I don't know. And Nate, especially you mentioned this a few podcasts ago, that you'd want to be more appealing. You want to have guys like a Shohei on the roster, and the guys who are glittery to the new owner. And I would think cutting payroll would not accomplish that. So how do you take Blum's comments that they're going to cut payroll?
I saw something from Perry's interview, and I think it goes the other way. Honestly, I'm not saying Sam is wrong. I'm just saying that Perry made it sound completely different when he said the following. He said, hypothetically, if we went to Artie to try and sign a major free agent to a multi-year deal, would Marino be open to it? And he said, absolutely. There's no 1 year, can only do a 1 year deal. There are no mandates. That makes me think that they're going to be players for some people. The Carlos Correas, the Trey Turners, I don't think they're in the Jacob deGrom sweepstakes, but I think that they're going to be willing to spend some money as long as Artie's willing to throw out some cash. I think Artie's going to be able to get to that normal number, that 180-ish. I don't think he's going to go above and beyond like I think he's going to be his normal self where he sticks to his 180 and that's about it. The cutting, if they were trying to cut money, they would not sign Shohei Ohtani to a $30 million deal and tell the entire world they're not trading him, because that's the first guy you're getting rid of if you're cutting payroll, right? The guy who's got 1 year left on his deal, the guy who's 365 days away from being a free agent, and the guy who has openly said he wants to win, and the Angels haven't won. They haven't been to a playoff one time with the guy. So, and Anthony Rendon has no trade value. Of course, he would be on the market as well. And Mike Trout, that's again going to be a tough contract to trade. So, I think that if they were really trying to cut payroll, Shohei Ohtani would not be 100%. We're not trading him.
Yeah, I was going to go there next too. That's because that's on Jared's list. Jared, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think they're. I think. I'm pretty sure it came out earlier this offseason that they were gonna be pretty close to about the same that they have been for years now. I definitely don't expect them to go over that. However, I don't. It's just a weird. Like I said, this is just a weird offseason. It's gonna be a weird situation altogether. I would love to be in the front office and the conversations that are going to be had between Perry and Artie, because I don't know what that even would entail. Does Perry really even have to go to Artie if it's mid sale? It's just very, very weird. I'd be shocked if they went over what they normally do, which is that 180-ish threshold. However, if we start seeing things progress in the sale and we start hearing of new ownership, it wouldn't surprise me if, Perry starts pushing to keep his job as well, because with new ownership comes knew everything. So yeah, it'll just be really interesting. I'm going to say this now. I'm going to say this again all off season because we said it all last off season. I fully expect him to sign a shortstop.
I just want to point this out too, and I'll be honest, I'm totally spitballing here. I'm throwing something against the wall, and maybe it'll stick, maybe it won't. But it would seem to me that if you're trying to sell a team in Southern California that basically is supposed to be a rival for the Dodgers, you'd want to sell a team that's competitive and that is ready to go. And so I know you guys are saying, hey, I expect them to stay around 180. One of the things we point out numerous times in the show is that Shohei, by, you're going to pay him $33 million, that pretty much wipes out what you're getting back from the Pujols move with Pujols leaving. And that pretty much wipes out, a lot of that flexibility, unless you do the one thing we haven't said they could do, which is say, screw it, go payroll. Because what comes to mind could be what other teams have done. Go for it, see if it sticks, see if you're competitive come All-Star break, and then guess what? If we're not, we fire sell and sell everybody. That just kind of comes to mind as a possibility. Like, okay, take one last shot as the owner, try and raise the value for clubs, see if they compete, leave on a winning note, maybe cement some kind of legacy, and then if it doesn't work, sell. That wouldn't surprise me either, because again, you're still trying to win with the pieces you have. You're trying to tell these guys, Trout and Ohtani, we're trying to win. And if you just stand pat and don't do much of anything, you're not really telling them you're trying to win. So, I mean, tell me if you think I'm wrong. I'm totally cool being wrong. Like, but that's the thought that comes to mind. Like, I just don't see them cutting, and I don't see them staying still. I see them trying to say, hey, Shohei, we want you to stay, and we want to show we can prove we can win with you here.
The one question I would have for you, Derek, is if that does happen, let's say Artie doesn't sell the team by opening day. Let's say he sells the team a month into the season after, he already spent all this money. Is he on the hook for the money the Angels would owe MLB for going over the threshold of 200, 210, Is he on that hook? Because he's not going to want to be on that hook after he sells the team. So
the team owner for when
I know, but
if due is the one who pays it. So,
but if he's the one who is making that, is he going to lose money? Like, are there things that could happen to Artie where he either has to pay money or he could lose money in the sale because of this? And he is a very smart businessman, like Jared talks about all the time. He's not going to want to lose money. He's not going to want to do anything where he doesn't feel he's at the best financially. So that's the only issue I would have with him going over, because he's already been at 180 he's on the team for what, almost 20 years. And he's stuck at around that 180 mark for the last 10 years. So
risk reward though. Risk reward. So if you're also that businessman talking about and you want to aim for your max profit, if your team is winning and on the way to potentially competing for division title in the World Series with two guys like a Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani on the roster, then that meant that fee you might pay for a luxury tax will be outweighed by the fact that your franchise value is maximized. But like you're saying,
they had Josh Hamilton, they had Albert Pujols, they had Mike Trout, they had Shohei Ohtani, and he still spent 180. Probably less.
I'm just saying, I don't see them standing pat if you're trying to convince a guy to stay. You're trying to show your other star you're trying to win.
I don't think Artie cares about keeping Ohtani. Like, that's not all he cares about, is keeping Shohei Ohtani for as long as the sale happens. Once the sale happens, he couldn't care less about what happens. Maybe Ohtani and the Angels.
You mean you're still trying to maximize your value while you're selling. And so if they're sold in November, well, yeah, once you care. But if it's not sold yet, then they're still trying to maximize your value. I again, I could be completely wrong, but I don't see this team being able to stay at 180 and compete when they just basically switched out the Ohtani the Pujols contract for Ohtani, money wise. may have too many holes. I mean, we'll already give him the go for maybe 10 million more.
I don't think so.
I don't
Like
know.
I said, this is the worst possible offseason for Artie to not have say in anything. Because I mean, if Artie has say in something, I would assume Shohei Ohtani probably is already extended, right? If Artie's planning on keeping the team long term, he probably is saying, hey, just like the Albert Pujols, just like the Josh Hamilton, just like Mike Trout, give this man what he wants to stick around because he is making my organization, my franchise, more money. Because all of Japan is watching, and we are getting that money from all of the marketing that is going on around the world, all of the jersey sales around the world, every single time somebody buys a hat with that A on it, we are making the money. So, yeah, I think if I'm gonna continue to say it all off season until we know something. Just this is going to be a weird, wonky off season, and it's just a bad off season for him to sell the team. If you're a fan, it's probably a good off season for him to be in the mix. Or for him to be selling the team. 100%, it's a very good chance because this is the last time that Shohei Ohtani is around the team. What is the future for the Angels? Mike Trout's a year older. I mean, heck, dude, he doesn't have to. This is as high as the Angels are going to get for, unless they start winning, right? I mean, Shohei Ohtani is a generational player. He is Babe Ruth. He brings an entire country to watch him play night in and night out. He brings that entire market. And if, after this season, if he doesn't stick around because the Angels haven't won in 7 years, 21 years, they haven't won a World Series. They haven't been to the playoffs in that amount in 7 years. So, yeah, I mean, this is a perfect, again, he's a good businessman. He knows what he's doing. This is a perfect time for him to sell. It's a bad time to be an Angels fan.
And based on the numbers, they got about $52 million to spend this offseason. That is not including all the arbitration. So you go through the arbitration, they're probably right around that $40 million. So they're going to have about $40 million to spend this offseason. That's already taken into account the Ohtani contract. That's already taken into account the Rendon, Trout, Fletcher, Stassi, all those. So you're going to have about $40 million to spend. That, depending on where they want to go with that $40 million, they could easily go get some pieces. I know they have some holes, but a lot of holes can be filled by minor league deals if the Angels do things correctly.
I also think that also kind of argues against Sam's point that they're going to cut. They don't have a whole lot to cut. You're basically like a $40 million gap right there where they need to fill some holes. So I don't really see them cutting either. No. So do they stand pat? Do they spend a little more? Do they stand pat? Like you guys stand pat? I'm not. I look at it. I mean, I own a business. So I look at it a little bit differently, but it's hard to argue against what you guys are saying. Real quick here, for guy here, new hitting coach Marcus Thames, new assistant hitting coach Phil Plantier, and assistant pitching coach Bill Hazel. We know Marcus Thames. That name's been around there for a while there. Other ones I'm not so familiar with, so I can't comment on them. But I bet you Jared can. Go.
Yeah, I mean, we all know who Thames is. He was with New York for, I think, 4 or 5 years before being the hitting coach in Miami last year. So for those of you who are worried, oh no, Miami wasn't very good, because I got plenty of that on Twitter the other day. I wouldn't worry too much about it, to be honest.
Their WRC plus went up, by the way, since Marcus Thames took over. It was only a couple points, but it still go up, which is huge for Marcus Thames, the hitting coach.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, what can you do in 1 year? To be honest, you got to be able to install what you have learned, and that's why they brought him in. But obviously, he's not returning. He'll come in as the new hitting coach for the Angels. Phil Plantier was actually in Miami with the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, I believe. So he was in AAA for them. So, they're coming over together. He played an illustrious career where he batted .243 with 91 home runs in his career. Mm-hmm. Sorry, looking at his Wikipedia. The big one for me, and I'm most excited about this, bringing in the director of pitching operations for Driveline, Bill Hazel. Good guy there. Absolutely. I absolutely am a believer in a lot of things at Driveline. I would not say I'm a believer in everything Driveline, but when Shohei Ohtani and Patrick Sandoval go to Driveline and then become what they became last year, you have to know that they are doing something right. A lot of players go and do off-season stuff there with Driveline. Trevor Bauer, Walker Bueller, just to name a few, have been there, and it's just a really, really good atmosphere to be around. They do things the correct way. So bringing him in as a mind, along with the communication skills of Matt Wise. Wow, I almost forgot about that. Of Matt Wise, and I know everybody's going to be like, Matt Wise was not very good last year. Angels pitching staff was actually top 10 in baseball starting pitching staff. I know the bullpen wasn't very good, but you have
Thanks to our AAA pitching coach. What a legend.
You're not gonna. I'm not.
What a legend.
That's fine.
Really teaching Reed Detmers the slider, and just helping the young kids mature as they get to the big leagues. Yeah, that AAA pitching coach deserves the big league job the way he did. And I am on the Matt Wise.
Shohei Ohtani added a cutter.
Thanks.
Jose Suarez
had nothing to do with
slider.
him. And again, because he went to AAA.
Bring it up. Shohei Ohtani did not go to AAA. Jose Suarez.
No, Suarez went to AAA.
Became a better pitcher at the major league level as a starter after he was
in AAA. Very good.
He was coming out of the bullpen. So
AAA.
You guys can talk all you want about Matt Wise. It is what it is. I'm excited for Bill Hazel, the new assistant pitching coach.
Oh my gosh, are we seriously going to do this? Okay.
It's no fun if we don't.
I mean, you humored me as I went off on my tangent, so okay, fine. All right. So, anything else you want to cover today?
I'm good.
World Series predictions. Who had the Phillies?
We did.
We both did.
Who had the Astros?
You did.
Oh, you did.
I hate being right. I flipping hate being right. Yeah. I was hoping I was wrong the whole dang time.
Had the games right. I had Phillies in 6.
Yeah.
6.
All right, folks. You know where to find us. Nate Green 34, Jared_Tims, D Ciapola. Don't forget to Talking Halos. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review. We really appreciate it. In the meantime, we're out of here.